It is 12:30, and we're going to get started here. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Eddie, can you see the agenda?
I do.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. You all know me, Jim Rive, your MC. We are blessed to have a special event this afternoon. I assume a lot of folks are going to be joining in the next few minutes, probably coming from lunch or another meeting. But we'd like to start on time, and this is being recorded for everybody's convenience and will be posted by noon tomorrow, along with copies of the presentations. So we'll start off with about 5 to 7 minutes of HDI news, a presentation by just an inspirational leader, Eddie Vidal, transformation, transparency, and accountability, a case study in changing the way we deliver IT services. We'll open it up to Q&A in the last 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. And please remember to complete your surveys that you should see at the conclusion of our session. I'd like to start off by thanking all of our great sponsors that make these and other events possible. Easy Vista and Robert Half are gold sponsors. Invigate is our silver sponsor, and we have national HDI sponsors in terms of Robert Half, who sponsors all the premier awards that we're going to be speaking about a little later on, and Splashtop, Symphony AI, and Resolve AI. In terms of upcoming events, Wednesday, October 16th, starting at 5:30, we have a Top Golf Orlando event that promises to be a great time, great opportunity to network and meet wonderful, fun, knowledgeable IT service and support professionals, enjoy some great food and refreshments, and play any number of golf games that are there. Because these are expensive tickets, they're free to our attendees for the chapter, but we do need pre-registration, and there's a limit in terms of the number of personnel that we can actually fit in the facility. So we do ask you to either pre-register via the link in the invitations that you may already have seen, or please contact me and directly, and we'll make it happen. Coming up Sunday, November 17th, already as the annual Service Management World, one of our 2 major annual conference events being held at Lowe's Sapphire Falls Resort in University of Orlando. It promises to be another great event, and of course, Support World Live is already planned in Las Vegas, again, the MGM Grand, and more details will be coming out. However, you can actually sign up on the link on our website, hdicfl.com, to receive updates and information about the conference. A little information about Service Management World that's coming up in November. There's some very interesting case studies by Foster, Duke, University, Giant Eagle, and other prominent organizations introducing a new speed networking program. I have experienced this at other types of conferences, and it is a lot of fun and a great way to meet new friends and contacts. There is a theme established for the party the last night, and it's going to be a Hawaiian luau. So please bring your Hawaiian shirts and accoutrements. And registration alert, there is a generous $400 discount available to HDI members, and the early registration ends September 27th. And you can see last year was a lot of fun. They're minions, and just a lot of informative sessions by industry thought leaders. The keynote speakers have presented with HDI before, and Crystal Washington will present how generative AI will affect the future of work. I'm in several conversations every week about how generative AI can enhance customer experience and employee experience, and boost productivity, and the projected GDP growth globally in the many trillions of dollars just speaks to the tremendous opportunity for all of us to benefit from learning more about this. Matt Mayberry, a former NFL linebacker and a prominent speaker, will be speaking about organization for speed, impact, and excellence. Great news. Now is that time of year. Now through November 1st, we welcome all of your nominations for individual and team excellence awards at HDI. This is a subset of the awards that you can nominate for. I mentioned Best Service and Support Analyst in the photograph on the top right. That's with Bob Schrader, who is a tremendous member of this awesome Orange County Public Schools team. I had the pleasure of a surprise presentation where everybody came together. Bob had no idea we were going to present the award, and we have members of the leadership team from the superintendent's office and the head of ITS, and even the chief information officer participated, Lars Dragon, remotely, and it was a great experience had by all. But HDI paid membership is not required, and there's no limit on the number of nominations that you can make. So please feel free to nominate your rock stars on your staff, the manager, or your entire team. This is a significant promotional offering from HDI, a 10% discount off of all virtual and online training with this code, and it is valid through November 30th. It does add up to significant savings, so please feel free to take advantage of it. And this shows our local chapter code that you can use for discounts for training and conferences. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our esteemed speaker, Eddie Vidal. He's a celebrated international speaker with over 25 years of experience. He's director of the IT Service Management Office at Memorial Healthcare System. He frequently speaks about leadership, team building, industry best practices, metrics, organizational change management, and continual service improvement. I can't overstate what an inspiration he has been to me personally since I met Eddie a little over 10 years ago when I first became a president of an HDI local chapter. I've learned so much from Eddie in terms of leadership and team engagement and team building, culture building, that I feel very blessed to call him my friend. He's also a very accomplished runner with the Miami Tri Club, and is an inspiration in many ways to so many people. So I'd like to give a warm Central Florida welcome to Eddie Vidal.
Thanks, Jim. That's a lot of made up facts there. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and my presentation, if that's okay.
Yes, I'm trying to share here. Okay. Will you able to share your screen?
Where do I share?
The share button, I believe, is at the bottom of your screen.
I don't see the share button. Oh, here we go. My bad.
I can see your screen.
Do you all see the video, not the video, but on the right-hand side, the pictures of you and me? Because I can minimize that.
And,
No, I don't. Just
Okay,
presentation.
perfect. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me during your lunch hour. Jim, thanks for inviting me. I have a lot of material and I noticed that you have me going till 1:20. So I am gonna go pretty quickly through these slides. I'm gonna share our story, how we're still evolving here at Memorial Healthcare System down in South Florida and Hollywood, and how we've tried to transform. We've definitely been more transparent and we have more accountability within the different teams within IT. So what we're going to cover today are these 10 topics. I'm not going to go through them on this slide one by one, but you'll see as we go and we evolve and we talk about things, these are the things that I'm going to cover. So who is Memorial? Like I said, we're located in South Florida, Hollywood, and we started our journey in 2017. That's when I started working for Memorial Healthcare System. I came on board as a consultant. I did that for a year and a half, and my role was to come in and mature the IT service desk to help roll out the ServiceNow tool in a medical organization, because this happens to be the third healthcare organization that I've worked for. Since we started our journey, we've had over 1 million incidents. We've had a lot of self-service incidents, about 14% overall in over these 6 to 7 years. But in the last 12 months, it's growing. It's almost 21%. And if you ask, well, that's good. Maybe why are you growing your self-service model? Well, there's a lot of reasons that we're doing that. And one of the reasons, unfortunately, was that it was very difficult to get through to the service desk. It was long hold times and wait times. And especially if it's something that you don't need fixed right away, you can go ahead and enter a self-service incident on our portal. So that, I think, is one of the reasons. And there are a couple other reasons that I'll talk about why those numbers are increasing, which is good. It eliminates the need for more resources at our service desk. Over the last 12 months, we've had almost 160,000 calls. But the last time I did this presentation, the previous 12 months, we were up to about 190,000 calls. So as you can tell, our call volume is going down. That doesn't mean our work volume is going down, but at least calls coming in through the service desk where they're answered by our service desk agents is going down. So this is just to show you by the numbers of since we started at ServiceNow. I think I ran this report back in March maybe, and we have almost 3.6 million records. That's probably a little bit more. And as you can see, the number one record that we have in our tool is incidents, but we have a lot of different things. We support many different customers throughout the healthcare system. The tool that we use is not really, or the support that we provide, at least, is not just IT. Let me back up a little bit. My responsibility here at Memorial Healthcare System is I'm the director of the Service Management Office. I'm responsible for our IT service desk. We have, when we're fully staffed, we have about 24 individuals, and we're open 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. But I'm also responsible for our ServiceNow team, and I'll talk a little bit about the number of resources that we have there, and I am the ServiceNow platform owner of the tool here at Memorial. So prior to our implementation, we have lots of challenges, and some of you all may have these same challenges. Some of you may be going through these challenges today, or maybe you are mature enough that you've already conquered these challenges and you are excelling. And if so, then I want to learn from you. But at first, the question I had is, are all incidents coming through our service desk? No, they were not. Were we able to measure success before? No, we couldn't. Was there predefined service levels like SLAs? No, there wasn't. All teams were using one tool to manage incidents. That probably wasn't the case. There was some other areas that were probably using Excel spreadsheets or whatever they were using, SharePoint, but they were all not using one tool. Were we able to scale inside and outside Memorial? Back then, no. We can now. We are a hospital that has some community connect customers. And if you're in healthcare, basically what that is for our electronic medical record system, we use Epic. And you have to be a large enough hospital. I think it's bed count. I'm not sure if it's revenue count. But if you're not, what you have to do is if you want to use the Epic EMR medical record system, you have to connect or attach to another type of organization or hospital. So we do have clinics and hospitals that connect to our Epic instance, which means that now we are a vendor towards them. So we have to be able to scale outside. Are there perceived delays with the service desk? Yes. That may be with all service desks, but for us at least it was. And was there a lack of visibility for statuses on incidents and requests? Yes, there was. But today, users can go to our portal and see the statuses of their incidents or tasks. So have we been able to resolve all these challenges? A lot of them, yes, but we still have some challenges, and I'll talk about those as we go through this presentation. So the goals for our project is that we wanted to adopt ITIL best practices across all of IT. When I started back in 2017, I think there were 5 individuals that had ITIL certifications. And so what we did is we brought in an organization to help us and do some training and people for them to take the exams. And some of those people have come and gone, but if we were to take a head count today, we probably have about 60 or so individuals that have ITIL certifications, at least at the service desk. Anybody that comes in after they've worked for us for at least 1 year, we go ahead and have them take the ITIL exam. We have them study for it, and then they go ahead and take that exam. We wanted to establish common approaches to delivery of services across all of IT. We wanted to stop. I'm sorry about that. We wanted to replace our current system when we wanted an integrated, a single source of truth, one solution for everything. And we wanted all teams to be able to track all incidents and requests through one tool. So when we did this, we created 2 slides. One was that we had to go ahead and hold on a second because my boss is calling me and I'm going to let her know that I'm in a webinar. So I apologize.
Problem.
Oops, hold on 1 second. Even though this is lunch hour, I just want to make sure she's aware. These were 2 slides that we created. We needed to sell the value to not only our end users, but our IT support personnel. What we did is we visited huddles and teams at the hospital locations. And this is the one slide that we used for our end users. We wanted to make sure that they were aware that all incidents and service requests will be now tracked and submitted through one single portal. It's one single location, one single portal. We also mentioned that it was going to be something that was available anytime, anywhere, because for the ServiceNow tool, you have a mobile app capability, or you can go to our portal by going through either Safari, Chrome, Edge, whatever browser you use. We were going to be able to track the history of incidents, an audit trail from beginning to end. And not only did it help for our IT personnel, but it helps for our end user to not have to call the service desk and ask for a status of an incident or request. Now, granted, we still get calls for statuses, which really stinks. And I'll be honest with you, the last time I checked, we were getting about 700 calls a month just on status calls alone. Those are calls that we should be deflecting, and we need to do a better job of that. We had promised an Amazon-like experience, and I don't think we really hit on that. And I'll talk about some iterations and improvements that we had to make along the way. But basically, always that when we're doing something like this, we need to put it in words or put it in a way that what's in it for them. It needs to be of value to them. It needs to be of benefit to them. It's that term, I think, in Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Well, that's not true. If you build it, they won't come unless there's value for them. And this is a slide that we had to use for our internal IT support teams because change is tough. And the culture at the time that I got to Memorial, was sometimes a little bit hesitant about going to a new tool. And there were questions during our town hall meetings. For example, they'd say, well, now is everybody going to be able to see all the work that we're working on? And I go, absolutely. The transparency that we're doing here and the transformation is to be more accountable for everybody, which means that incidents and requests and projects and all the things that we use our tool for is viewable for anybody that has a license to be able to fulfill work. And what I mean by transparency, and it's open to everybody, not every single record is open to everybody because there are HR and medical records that we have in our system, and those are secure. So HR records are not viewable to everybody, only to those teams or assignment groups. And same for any PHI, which is patient health information, or PII, patient or personal information type data. So we want to make sure that anytime that we build new catalog items or anything like that, that it's very secure. There was a learning curve when it came to this. There was like, I don't know if I want to call it twisting of arms, but we had to sell some things. For example, when we built out our incident form, as you can see on the top, there's the incident recording and the categorization. In the middle, there's knowledge articles, and on the bottom is the resolution and closure. And some of the questions that we were asked about the knowledge part is like, why is it there? It's in the way. Can we remove it? And by those type of questions, it should be obvious to you the maturity level that we had at that time. But we had to sell them to tell them that knowledge articles are important, especially for IT support teams. Do you want the service desk escalating incidents to you all the time? No. Well, why don't you come and train us during our huddles? Why don't you create some knowledge base articles so then we can use them to resolve our issues? And as we've grown throughout the years and matured, our knowledge bases and our knowledge article and our process has matured and improved. This is just a sample of the number of knowledge base articles or knowledge bases that I have access to. Currently, I have access to 12 knowledge bases, and there's about 2,600 articles in there. In total, we have about 22 knowledge bases that encompass different areas throughout the organization. It's just not IT. Our patient access center is using it. There's a lot of other areas that are using it, and we have over 5,000 articles. And so during our town hall meetings and our operational meetings, one of the things that I present on is metrics. And one of the things or one of the slides I share is this one. And I talk about knowledge base articles. The way it works in our tool is the article expires every year. And at 11 months, that author receives an email to say, hey, your article is about to expire. Either you need to update it and renew it, or you need to retire it. And if you don't do anything, what happens is it goes into draft view and it's not viewable by anybody, especially our service desk. So when they're doing some troubleshooting and they're looking for a knowledge base article that doesn't exist, what happens? They may not be able to resolve the problem, and then they have to escalate that incident to that team, which now we can't do a first call resolution. Our customer experience is not the best. And there's a lot of reasons why these knowledge base articles are super important. And as you can tell, there's a couple of reasons that I entered here is it reduces our ticket volume. It shortens our mean time to repair. And like I mentioned before, it improves our customer experience. One of the other areas that we had to communicate and share and educate our team members was about service levels. We needed to talk about implementing service levels because the expectations are everybody wants everything done right away. And if we don't prioritize the workload that comes in, then we can't communicate to our end users, hey, depending on what your issue is or the severity of your issue is how fast we resolve it and where it is on the pecking order. And the thing is that depending on what vertical market you're in, you're going to have to talk to the individuals and you're going to have to talk their talk. So for us, I'm in the medical or healthcare industry or in healthcare, I'm at a hospital and I needed to talk their way. So I started asking around, I go, what do you do about patients that come into an emergency room? And how do you handle if 30 patients come in at the same time? They go, oh, well, we have an emergency severity index. It depends on the type of issue that a patient has. Is it life-threatening? Is it high risk? Are multiple resources involved? Is it only one resource to stabilize the patient, or does it not require any? So depending on that, it depends on the severity. So if it's a life-saving thing, it becomes a P1 for them. So that's why if you looked at my previous screen here, depending on the criticality, depending on whether it's, and we follow the IDLE best practice, which is impact plus urgency equals priority. And that's how we get to our priority levels. I explained to them the same thing, and then they finally figured it out as a yes, we understand why we need to have priority levels. And when you're speaking to the customers, one thing that we have not done, I'll be honest with you, is that we haven't gone and shared the service levels and gone out to the facilities and say, this is what we do. We do post it online, we do communicate it, but it hasn't been like a marketing type push to say, these are our service levels and these are the reasons why. We've never really done that. As we mature, we can report on it. As you can see, this is a report that does over the last 3 months that our response rate for incidents only has been under 8 hours, and our resolution rate has been under an hour. And as you can see, we've been making a really big push to decrease our service levels. And as you can see in the middle, the line is going down. I will be honest with you, not every single team or department or area within our IT organization is making a concerted effort to follow this. I'm part of the business operations team, and we have made this as part of our annual review for all of our teams. But we have 3 other big teams within IT, and they're not doing it to the extent that we are. Yes, they're following service levels, but they're not putting it on their performance evaluation or on their annual review. And once they start doing that, I anticipate that our metrics will get even better. So when we started our rollout, this was a scope. We wanted to replace our tool. I don't know about your organization. If you have an incident request on the same type of ticket, we split ours out. We replaced our knowledge base. We created a service catalog item. And these are the things that we wanted to do. And our timeline at first was 6 months. And as you can tell, it took us 9 months to do this. And we were not successful. These are the areas that we messed up on. But before I tell you that, let me share with you the number of resources we had during our rollout. So on the left-hand side, we had 2 admins at the time. We had a project manager, 1 subject matter expert, that was me, and I'm not an expert, a business analyst, and a manager. And we did have a vendor helping us roll out our tool. Today, we have 4 resources, an admin, 2 analysts, me as a director, and we do outsource development hours, about 50 to 100 hours a month, to a vendor that we work with. So based on these resources, you'll know why we weren't able to achieve what we wanted. But this is what we were able to do. On the left-hand side is everything that we rolled out, and on the right-hand side, we didn't do those. But later on in the presentation, I'll show you where we're at today. And some of these we've already conquered, and we are live on some of these areas. So because we did not roll everything out and we were getting pushback, the user experience wasn't the Amazon-like experience that we promised. So we had to dial it back a little bit, and we had to do what we call the scope detour. So instead of moving forward to roll out more things that we had not rolled out, we started talking to teams and finding out what the issues were. We focused on the user experience more. We had to make some changes. We did some focus groups. We went out and we started communicating at town hall, and we had asked for volunteers to help us. Let's make this product better. How can we help you better support your end users? And at the time, we probably had a little bit over 300 individuals in our IT department, and we had 40 volunteers for our focus group, which I think tells you a lot, that a lot of people definitely want to volunteer and make the product successful. So when we first started, some of the changes that we had made is that the portal looked like it did below. You can get help, you can get access. There was a service catalog, and it was a little bit messy. Things weren't in alphabetical order. We had to clean that up. Some people went to our portal and they only saw 6 tiles, and they thought those were the only 6 catalog items we had. And they didn't realize that on the left-hand side, we had different categories that you can click on it, or you can do keyword searches to look for all the catalog items. Today, we almost have 300 catalog items on there. And every time we train people, we say, you can do searches, or this is how you find things. Or if you're the product owner or you're the team that supports that catalog item, go ahead and put the link in your email signature that points directly to that item so your customers know where to go. So in doing that scope detour and doing different things, we created a different service portal that you can see there on the right. Much easier to navigate, more real estate for communication. We really emphasize the knowledge-based article. We were able to have our users go to the portal and find out what the latest status of their incidents and their requests were. And instead of calling the service desk, they were able to go ahead and enter or ask for updates, because there's an entry for them to go ahead and enter, hey, what's the latest update? And then what that does, it sends an automatic email to either the assignment group or the person that's assigned to that incident or task. So in transformation, what did we try to solve? Well, there was a lot of things. I think we set the expectations too high. So what's changed? A lot of times, people still phone a friend. That still happens sometimes. I don't know if that happens in your organization, but we have centralized support more and more. Like earlier this morning, somebody was reaching out to me because they had issues accessing a portal. So I answered a couple questions, and then I finally said, hey, look, on your behalf, I'm going to go ahead and open an incident. He called a friend, and I'm not technical anymore. There's some things that I can't really resolve or solve. I don't have admin privileges on the tool, and basically I open up an incident so the rest of our team can work on it and fix his issue. We have full transparency, like I said before, but we have we do secure PHI and PII information. I don't know about you all, but our request process is separated from incidents, and I'm going to explain to you why. And then we do have SLAs, and like I said before, all teams are not focusing on it as much as we are by putting it in our annual review. So there's a lot of things that during this transformation that we've tried to solve, and it's been a couple roadblocks along the way, but I don't know where you're at in your journey. After 6 or 7 years, we're doing much better, but obviously you never reach that finish line. This is a slide that I had to create because a lot of people did not understand the difference between an incident and a request. And for us, our service levels are only on incidents, not on requests. And basically, an incident is something that it's broken, you currently have, and it needs to be fixed right away. A request is something that you want something brand new, whether it's access to a system, access to a hardware piece. And one of the things that is different between our incidents and the requests is that we build workflows on our requests that provide approvals, whether it's by the manager, whether it's by IT privacy or security, and then it can generate multiple tasks. For our incidents, we just have an incident. And if it needs to go from one group to another, it's transferred, where for our request, we can, like I said, build multiple tasks, whether they're being worked on in parallel or they're being worked on sequentially. The transparency that we talked about, we've built dashboards that are available for VPs and senior managements. We've built go live dashboards when we've rolled out new products. We recently rolled out Workday in December. So we were using the dashboards that we built to be able to show where we're at and how successful, or where there's some hiccups that we need to have fixed. Also, one of the things that happened when we first started is we were sharing, or I was sending out an email on a weekly basis about incidents and requests, and that they needed to be closed, and that we were missing our service levels, and that incidents were opened over a year. And what happened is that email got old. People were filtering it out. Nothing was really happening. And it's like, if you keep beating a dead horse, it's not going to come alive. So we had to figure different ways of communicating to our teams about saying, hey, look, you have some incidents that are open for a long time, or your incident count is piling up. And I would meet with those teams individually and work with them and help them either build reports or dashboards to help them streamline and organize themselves better. This is just an example of an email that I sent out. It's like what we did, how we're trying to adapt, and how we're doing it now. These are some type of, these are reportings that we also do on a daily basis from our service desk. And I'm just trying to show you some of the things that we've done. And this is an old report, but the reason I'm sharing this one is that one day we had over 2,200 calls, almost 2,300 calls. And in the past, we would put these reports out and nobody would really know why the call count was high because we didn't have a very mature major incident model. In our organization, we call it incident response, but in idle terms, there's the major incident commanders or major incident response. And what would happen is when we didn't call these, and when we do call them today, it's like all hands on deck. And what happens is all the leaders get on a call. We have to figure out what's going on. How fast do we send communication? The communication may be just a very high level to say, hey, we're aware of this issue with XYZ application. We're working on it. We'll keep you posted. But in the past, we didn't do that. So when leaders were doing their rounding and they would be asked, hey, why was the system down or why couldn't we get through the service desk? They were caught off guard. So we've matured that model that communication is now happening and everybody understands what's going on. And sometimes if the incident is super high level that it's impacting the organization, like let's say Epic is down, we expand that call to bring in the administrative officers from each of the hospital locations so they can understand what's going on and what are downtime procedures to continue serving our patients. I'm just sharing some monthly reports on how we do. These are the call volume on a daily basis and how we answer them and what our abandon rate is. This is a monthly report. This is an example of last month. We had almost 16,000 calls. And as you can tell, our numbers are not that good last month. And I'll tell you why. We're short on resources. We have our FTE deficiency. That's not even counting. We got 2 people on FMLA. We've had people that call out sick. We've had 2 individuals recently that were promoted to other teams within the organization, and which is great because they're growing, but it's also impacting our call volume in our customer service. And then this is another slide that I do in our monthly report about notable events. So sometimes we have what we call as those major incidents or incident responses. And these are things that we share throughout the organization on a monthly basis. These are some other metrics that I want to show you. We're deflecting more calls because we're using a virtual agent. Right now, when you call our service desk for a password reset, you have the ability to select an option for us to send you a link to send you directly to our password reset portal so you can reset your password automatically. Our conversion rate is low. It is deflecting calls, but this is why our numbers of calls are going down because we have implemented other tools along the way. Virtual agent is being one of them. And then also we've done a marketing campaign that we've created some QR codes. Like when our computer is locked, we have a QR code there that you can go to our self-service password reset portal and go ahead and reset your password without calling our service desk. I think the last time I checked, about 30% of our calls are password related. And the goal is to make sure that that number keeps going down. This was a trick question that I had to ask in one of our monthly meetings is like, why do you open an incident? Is it easier because you don't want to open up a request and a request that requires approval? Is it to bypass that process? You don't know the difference? Or because something is broken? And obviously the answer here is D, something is broken. But at first people were bypassing opening incidents because it's much easier. You go to a portal, you can answer 5 or 6 questions and you're done. Where a request, you got to find the actual request. You have to go ahead and complete that. And there's an approval process behind that. So it does take a little bit longer. There was process improvements along the way in order to mature. Today for us, any incident that is open, whether it's on the portal or whether a service desk team member opens it up and they select the type of item or the item that that individual is calling about, there is an automatic assignment to that assignment group or that team, which helps us or reduces the amount of mistakes or the amount of items or issues or incidents that we are escalating to the wrong team. Because we are also running reports to try to improve ourselves. We run reports on the reassignment counts of our incidents, and we can see that there are certain incident types that have a high reassignment count, which means that we're not assigning it to the correct group to begin with. So that's going to involve some training. That's going to involve some teams coming into our service desk huddles, to be able to not only share with us why it needs to go to this team, but they also provide knowledge base articles to help us route things to the correct team. Some of the things that we've done is we've integrated our provisioning tool we use in Pravada with ServiceNow. Our user records in ServiceNow are not created within the ServiceNow tool. They're created automatically through in Pravada. And it always starts from the HR record, which is that source of truth. It starts at Workday, then goes through in Pravada, and then it goes to ServiceNow and create the user records. This is our self-service portal here. As you can tell, get help is for incidents. In the middle is our catalog. And over on the right is our knowledge base. This is an old screenshot. We do have another icon on there, which is a time portal one. We use it to track our time, especially for our Workday project when we rolled that out, because we as an organization are also maturing when it comes to project portfolio management. In the ServiceNow tool, it's called strategic portfolio management. And we track our time for incidents and requests and for projects. And that's also because we're a state-owned public company, there are tax implications for some of the work that we do, whether it's capitalized or operational. I'm getting into the weeds here. And now we have our first hiccup. So Jim, I did send you the slide deck, right?
Yes, although yeah, it's slightly different from what you're sharing today.
That's okay, Jim. This is just a test to make sure everybody's awake. We're good. All right. I know that I'm going to go to 1:20, so I have 9 minutes left.
You can take a few more minutes if you'd like.
Okay. Well, we want to also leave it open for some Q&A, if any. But one of the things that when you roll out any tool, regardless of whether it's ServiceNow, we had to do it for Workday, whatever tool it is you're rolling out, there's got to be that organizational change management. There's got to be that training. And there's many ways to go about it. And for us, we did videos, we did these type of WebExes. I used to do a lot of work for HDI and do a lot of WebExes like I'm doing now for the Central Florida chapter. But what I've done is I've taken those skills and started using them internally within our organization. So for the ServiceNow tool, I do a lot of WebExes and lunch and learns and things like that. And these are some of the things that we did when we rolled this out. We created reference guides. We had some classes. Before we were all on site, this was before COVID, so a lot of these classes happened in person. Since COVID, I'll be honest with you, the two teams that report to me, we all work remote. I myself, I work from home. We're very blessed to be able to do that. We're very lucky. But now we've had to change our approach, but we still do a lot of lunch and learns, and it's all via webinar. We use Teams and we use WebEx. Here are some samples of the communication that we had to send out, some of the flyers that we have on the right-hand side. We did emails, we did cookies and learns because that's a lot less expensive than lunch and learns. We did a lot of communication on our internal intranet, team meetings, tip sheets. We even did a countdown clock. It'll appear on the bottom right-hand corner where this intranet is, and it'll say, hey, ServiceNow, our Workday is going to launch in 10 days, 4 hours and 3 minutes, and there's a countdown clock to tell you when that application is going to go live. Those are some of the tools that we use as rollouts. It was really important, though, to get the buy-in from IT because IT is the one that was really going to be using this tool to support our customers. Our customers had to buy in because, hey, they can still call the service desk to get service, but we wanted to sort of deflect some calls and show that we have a portal that you can go ahead and submit stuff now. But it needed buy-in from our IT support teams because they were going to be supporting it. They were going to be using the tool on a daily basis. So we had to get their buy-in, and change is tough. And some of the things that we had to talk to them about is the collaboration between the teams. We wanted to create a better experience, not only for the customers, but for them to make it easier to support their teams. We also wanted to show that now that we can measure results, that we can recognize great performance from individuals and from teams. We can do that from service levels. We can do that from reports. And also by doing that, we are improving the customer service experience. Our mean time to repair is lower. All these things lead to lower abandon rate, higher service levels. It's a trickle-down effect, and it's all connected. So some of the lessons learned along the way is that we need to get the right people on board. We needed to make sure that we um, we included the right people, whether it was focus groups, whether it was members from other teams, whether it was decision makers. We also, you can't work in a bubble. You're coming to this webinar here. Hopefully, you're going to take something and you're going to be able to learn something and take it back to your organization. And I encourage you to network with your peers. I did a lot of phone calls to HDI peers and asked them how did they do their rollouts in the past? Did they use ServiceNow? Gather a lot of requirements, do a lot of research. One thing I do recommend with any tool is try to stick to out-of-the-box solutions as much as possible. If you're customizing your tool, then you're going to struggle through future upgrades that could eventually hiccup your upgrade, or maybe that upgrade or that customization that you did may not work with the next version. So you got to try to find that balance between how much you customize and how much you configure. To me, customization is a 4-letter word, and we try to refrain from doing that as little as possible. So where are we today? Remember, we talked about what we did on the left-hand side. We are doing service levels. We have implemented change management. We've just started asset management for one of our facilities a little bit ago. We still do not have CMDB. We have started application portfolio management, and our problem management is still on SharePoint. And we're growing, and these are all the other things that we're working on. We've done virtual agents with our TalkDesk application. That's what we use as our call center application, and we've integrated that with ServiceNow. We do productivity and utilization reports for our service desk individuals. We have supply chain people coming on board. They basically, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to do a service management type environment. And when we first started, this was an IT service management tool. And as you can see on the right side, these are all the other things that we're doing. But we have grown and we continue to grow this. And it's no longer just an IT service management tool. It's an enterprise service management tool. And these are some of the customers that we have on the left-hand side. As a matter of fact, this week we are rolling out for our organization, a flu vaccine is required for employment. And if you have exemptions of whether it's medical or religious exemptions, all that in the past was done via email, and we have just implemented a new form for the employee health team to be able to roll that out, which rolls out next week. So we are growing our presence of the ServiceNow tool, and we are making it more enterprise. So here's a little bit about me and my experience and what I do, and that's my 3 adult kids there. The running joke is that they are growing. 3 college graduates, they have full-time job with benefits, they're out of jail, I've done well. And so I'll wrap it up with a picture of the backyard. I'm very fortunate to live in Miami Beach. And I finished a couple minutes early, Jim, so we can leave it up for Q&A, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Hey. Thank you, Eddie. All right, any questions come to mind from all of our attendees?
No questions could be good or bad.
I have a question. Obviously everything that you've shared, Eddie, is extremely relevant now and in the future. Many organizations are required to make a plan, are required to change their IT service management platforms because some are at the end of support. Others can take advantage of the opportunity to improve their processes for IT service management and support and organizational development and cultural development. But it also adds new services and capabilities with the new technologies that are available. And you mentioned ServiceNow. I'm aware that there was the Xanadu new release announcement yesterday, whereby Now Assist and more generative AI capabilities are available in a large number of use cases, as well as virtual agents. Is that type of technology either some of it in place or on the roadmap?
At least for the ServiceNow tool, you have to purchase those. You have to do the ITSM Pro, which we don't have. So those are modules that we would have to purchase. I'll be honest with you, we're not mature, Jim, in when it comes to AI just yet within the tool. We are using the virtual agent because we have the integration with TalkDesk. So those are some of the features that we're using to deflect calls and help the customer without having to actually talk to an agent. We are pointing people to knowledge bases so they can help them serve themselves. Each of our incidents that are closed, we attach knowledge base articles. So when they receive an email that says this incident was closed, those articles are attached there. So if they ever have that same issue, that they can go back. But I would say that when it comes to AI and some of the Gen AI tools that you talked about, we would be low on that maturity level. So if you talk to me in a couple of years from now, we may be higher or we may be the same. I expect us to be higher, but that's just an evolution of your transformation. And that's another part of it that we have to work on.
Yes, I think so many organizations, large global enterprises nationwide and even small, we're all in the early stages of implementing this technology because it's fast evolving. There's a vast number of different tools, each with its own benefits and LLMs. And the future promises to be exciting and even better for improving customer experience, employee experience, and productivity for all of us. So thank you for that. Last call for question. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you, Eddie, for a very informative and valuable presentation. I will post this along with the PowerPoint presentations in PDF format on the HDICFL.com website by noon tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.